2 years ago, I moved into a metal building in a hayfield, and my mortgage payment is less than what my sister pays to park her car in the city. The whole thing, steel shell, slab, plumbing, kitchen, cost just under $94,000. Everyone asks two things. Is it loud when it rains? And do you regret it? Yes, and it's complicated. But living in a prefab barndominium is nothing like the videos that convinced me to build one. And today I'll show you what 2 years actually feel like, including what almost made me quit. Let me back up, because if you've never gone down this rabbit hole, the word barndominium probably sounds like a joke. A barndominium is a steel or post frame building, the same kind of structure you'd see housing tractors on a farm, finished out on the inside like a regular home. Drywall, kitchen islands, tile showers, the works. From the road, mine looks like a nice agricultural building with too many windows. Inside, it looks like a modern farmhouse with 14-foot ceilings. The prefab part is what makes the price possible. Instead of framers building a wooden skeleton stick by stick over months, a factory cuts and drills every steel beam, every wall panel, every screw hole, and ships the entire building to your land on a flatbed truck. My kit showed up as 3 bundles of red iron beams and stacks of ribbed steel panels sitting in the grass, along with about 40 boxes of bolts and a set of drawings thick enough to stop a door. Delivery day is chaos, by the way. The truck driver's job ends at your property line, so you either rent a telehandler to unload several tons of steel, or you pay the crew extra to bring one, and the brochure never mentions that part. A crew of 4 bolted the whole frame together in 6 days. Watching a house go from a concrete pad to a fully enclosed, weatherproof shell in under 2 weeks does something to your brain. Traditional builds around here take 8 months to get to that point. And that speed matters for more than bragging rights, because every month a conventional build sits half-finished is a month of construction loan interest, rain damage risk, and materials walking off the job site. My shell was locked up and dried in before the first serious storm of the season, and everything after that happened indoors, on my own schedule, 1 weekend at a time. But that speed is also the first thing you need to understand about the price tag, because it's where the marketing gets slippery. When a company advertises a barndominium kit for $30,000, they are selling you a very nice pile of steel. That's it. No concrete, no doors, no insulation, no toilet. The kit is maybe a third of the real cost, and the gap between the advertised price and a livable home is where most people's dreams die. So let me show you exactly where my $94,000 went, because I had to piece this breakdown together myself, and I learned some of it the expensive way. The steel kit itself, a 40 by 60 building with a covered porch section, ran me about $28,000 delivered. The concrete slab was the second biggest line item, and this one shocked me. A monolithic slab with thickened edges, plumbing rough-ins, and proper site prep came to almost $17,000. Concrete prices do not care about your budget spreadsheet. Then erection, meaning the crew that bolts the frame together and hangs the panels, another $9,000. So before I had a single interior wall, before electricity, before water, I'd spent $54,000 on what was essentially a beautiful, empty warehouse. The remaining $40,000 had to cover everything that makes a warehouse a home. Spray foam insulation took $8,500 of it, and I'll come back to why that was the single best money I spent. Interior framing and drywall for a 2-bedroom layout, roughly $9,000 doing some of the hanging myself. Electrical $7,000, plumbing fixtures and labor $6,000. The rest disappeared into flooring, a modest kitchen with butcher block counters, mini split heat pumps, doors, and about 1,000 small purchases that never make it into anyone's YouTube budget video. Every trip to the hardware store is $40, and you will make 200 trips. And notice what's missing from that number. My well and septic system cost another $22,000, and I don't count them in the house budget because they belong to the land. But if your property doesn't already have water and sewer, you need to add that before you get excited. Same with the gravel driveway, the electrical service run from the road, and the permits. People online say they built for $80,000, and technically they did. They just also spent $40,000 on things they've decided don't count. So can you really do this under $100 grand? Yes, I'm proof. But only if you do real labor yourself, keep the layout simple, and own land that's already close to utilities. Okay, so the building is done, the inspector signs off, and you move your couch into a steel box in a field. What does day-to-day life actually feel like? This is where it gets real, and it starts with the rain. The first thunderstorm in a barndominium is a rite of passage. Rain on a bare metal roof sounds like living inside a snare drum, and if I had skipped insulation, it would be unlivable. But with closed-cell spray foam sealing the entire roof deck, heavy rain becomes this low, soft drumming that I now genuinely love. It's the sound people buy white noise machines to fake. Hail is a different story. A good hailstorm sounds like the building is being arrested, and the dog still hasn't forgiven me for the one last April. Temperature is the thing that makes or breaks these homes, because steel has no natural insulation value at all, zero. A metal building in July is an oven, and in January it's a walk-in freezer, unless you seal it properly. I toured a friend's uninsulated shop build in August before I committed to mine, and standing inside felt like being slow roasted. You could feel the heat radiating off the walls from 3 feet away. That afternoon convinced me to treat the spray foam as part of the structure rather than an upgrade, the same budget category as the frame and the slab. Once mine was foamed, the building became almost embarrassingly efficient. It's one big sealed envelope with no attic leaks and no drafty wall cavities, and my 2 mini split units heat and cool the entire 1,500 square feet of living space for about $90 a month in the worst weather. My parents' brick house is smaller, and their bill is triple that. Then there's the space itself. And this is where barndominium life gets genuinely different from any house I've lived in. There are no load-bearing walls inside a steel clear-span frame. None. The roof is held up entirely by the exterior columns, which means the interior is a blank canvas. My living room, kitchen, and dining area is one open room, 30 feet wide with ceilings you could fly a kite under. Big families visit and the space just swallows them. It never feels crowded, it never feels dark, and rearranging the future is as easy as moving non-structural walls. There are also 100 tiny quirks of metal building life that you only learn by living here, and some of them are genuinely funny. Your phone signal gets worse the moment you walk inside, because a steel box wrapped in foil-faced insulation behaves a little like a giant Faraday cage. I went from 3 bars in the driveway to 1 bar at the kitchen sink, and a Wi-Fi calling setup went from a nice-to-have to essential equipment in the first week. Hanging pictures is its own adventure too. The interior walls I framed take nails like any house, but anywhere the steel is exposed, you're either drilling and tapping metal, or you surrender and buy the strongest magnets money can buy. Half my shop wall is organized with magnetic hooks, and honestly, I'll never go back. Winter brought its own surprise. Snow does not sit politely on a steel roof the way it does on shingles. It accumulates for a day or two, the sun warms the panels, and then the entire roof load lets go at once. The first time it happened, I ran outside expecting to find a car in my living room. Now I know to keep the firewood rack and anything breakable away from the drip line, and my builder friends laughed and told me that's why snow guards exist. A lesson that cost me 1 flattened patio chair. But the openness of the layout has a cost too, and it's one of those things you only discover by living in it. Sound travels. With high ceilings, hard floors, and big open volumes, a barndominium echoes like a gymnasium until you deliberately kill the noise. The first month, 2 people talking in the kitchen sounded like a crowd. I ended up adding a huge rug, fabric furniture, curtains on every window, and acoustic panels disguised as wall art before conversation stopped bouncing. If you visit a barndo that feels warm and quiet, the owner worked for that. If you're finding this useful so far, hit subscribe. I make videos every week about affordable building and what rural living actually costs, without the fantasy math. Now, everything up to this point, you could probably piece together from other videos. This next section is the stuff I had to learn myself, the 4 problems that the barndominium influencers conveniently leave out, and the first one nearly ruined my building before I even moved in. Steel sweats. When warm, humid air touches cold metal, condensation forms, and an uninsulated or badly sealed metal building will literally rain on the inside. During my build, we had a warm, wet week before the spray foam went in, and I walked in one morning to find water dripping off the purlins onto my brand new slab like a cave. If that moisture gets trapped behind your insulation long-term, you get rust, rot in your interior framing, and mold. Closed-cell foam solved it completely by bonding directly to the steel so humid air can never touch cold metal, but cheap builds that use fiberglass bats against bare panels are setting a slow trap for themselves. When you see a 5-year-old barndominium selling suspiciously cheap, this is often why. Problem number 2 is convincing a bank to lend you money for one. Traditional banks look at a barndominium the way a cat looks at a cucumber. There aren't enough comparable sales in most counties for appraisers to value them, and plenty of lenders simply won't touch a metal home, period. I got quoted exactly one construction loan from a local farm credit union at a worse rate than a conventional mortgage, and I know owners who were flatly denied everywhere and ended up building in cash, in stages, over years. The under 100,000 barndominium is mostly a cash and sweat equity game. If you need a normal 30-year mortgage with 5% down, this path is going to fight you the entire way. Which flows straight into the third problem, resale. I love my home, but I hold no illusions that it's a liquid asset. The buyer pool for a metal home on rural acreage is a fraction of the buyer pool for a 3-bed suburban ranch. And the same financing wall that almost stopped me will stop many of my future buyers. A barndominium 2 counties over from me, beautifully finished, sat on the market for most of a year while 3 separate buyers tried and failed to get loans approved on it. The seller eventually took a cash offer well under asking. Values in my area have actually held up fine because land keeps appreciating underneath these builds. But if your plan involves building cheap and flipping for profit in 3 years, I'd honestly talk you out of it. This is a home you build because you intend to stay. And pay attention to this next one, because it's the problem that can kill your project before a single truck arrives. And fourth, the paperwork nobody warns you about. Some counties treat barndominiums as agricultural buildings, which is easy mode. Others make you jump through every residential hoop plus extras because the plans confuse them. Many HOAs and plenty of entire subdivisions ban metal-sided homes outright. Insurance was its own adventure. 2 companies didn't have a category for me, though the funny ending is that once a proper insurer understood the building, my premium came in lower than a comparable wood house because steel doesn't burn and doesn't feed termites. Before you buy land, call the county building department and ask one direct question: will you permit a steel residential building here? Do it before you sign anything. So with all of that said, the sweating steel, the financing wall, the echo, why am I still here 2 years later telling you it's complicated instead of telling you it was a mistake? Because the parts of this life that are good are so good that they've quietly ruined normal houses for me. Start with maintenance, or the near total absence of it. My exterior is steel panels with a factory paint warranty measured in decades. I will never paint siding, never replace rotting trim, never reshingle a roof, never pay a termite company. After a spring hailstorm rolled through last year, my neighbors were filing roof claims and I hosed the dust off mine. The building shrugs at weather that would eat a conventional house alive, and there's a specific kind of peace that comes from that. When the wind hits 60 miles an hour and the frame doesn't creak, doesn't move, doesn't make a sound, you sleep differently. Then there's the shop. Mine has a 1,200 square foot attached workshop behind the living space, under the same roof, and this might be the single biggest lifestyle upgrade nothing else offers at this price. It's where the tools live, where the truck gets worked on, where projects happen in January in a t-shirt because the foam envelope covers the whole building. Try adding 1,200 square feet of finished insulated workspace to a normal house and watch the quote come back at 6 figures on its own. In a barndominium, more enclosed space is the cheapest thing on the menu because you're just stretching steel a little further over the same slab. And honestly, the efficiency keeps paying me back in ways I didn't predict. The building is so tight that the utility bills feel like a rounding error. My water comes from my own well, and the total cost of occupying this house every month, taxes and insurance included, is under $600. That number changed my entire life. It's the reason I could take a lower-paying job I actually like. Cheap housing isn't really about the house, it's about what the missing bills let you do with the rest of your life. So, after 2 years, who should actually do this? If you own rural land or can buy it, if you have cash or land equity instead of needing a conventional mortgage, if you can swing a hammer and you plan to stay a decade or more, a prefab barndominium under $100,000 is real, and it might be the best housing value left in this country. My honest advice from the other side: spend the money on spray foam no matter what else you cut. Call your county before you buy the land, add 20% to whatever budget you write down, and pour a bigger slab than you think you need, because steel space is cheap and regret is not. But if you need bank financing, if you're on a suburban lot with an HOA, if resale value in 5 years matters to you, Or if you're picturing that finished magazine interior without picturing the 8 months of drywall dust it takes to get there, this is probably not your path, and that's fine. The Barndominium is a trade, and you should walk into it with your eyes open. You give up convenience, easy money, and a sure resale, and you get space, durability, and a monthly cost that gives you your life back. One more honest thing before I let you go, because I promised the full picture. There were nights during the build, usually around week 12, standing in a freezing steel shell with a work light and a caulk gun, when I would have sold the whole project for a bus ticket. Building your own home cheap means the savings come out of your evenings, your weekends, and occasionally your sanity. And anyone who tells you otherwise finished their build a long time ago and forgot. The people who thrive in this process are the ones who can look at an unfinished mess for months without panicking. If a half-done kitchen would eat at you every single day, hire more of it out and accept a bigger number, because your marriage and your mental health are worth more than the difference. 2 years in, sitting here listening to the rain on that steel roof, I'd make that trade again tomorrow. If you want to see the exact floor plan decisions I'd change if I built a second one, that video is on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.